So to answer the question, yes, the M3 CS has what it takes to keep the fun going on the weekends. There's all this great road feel. My car had a little of this, but not to this level. It's more precise as well. Tight curves, long sweepers, doesn't matter. The Giulia Quad just swallows it all and spits out driving satisfaction. Is that weird? Doesn't matter. Hey crew, let's compare the Cadillac CT5-V Blackwing, BMW M3 CS, and Alfa Romeo Giulia Quadrifoglio. Hey crew, I've got the key to this 24 BMW M3 CS, and today we're going to see what it's like to live with. Starting with the spacing in my driveway, which is 16 feet wide by 19.5 feet long. I've got the CS parked just a few inches in from the edge, sitting next to my mother-in-law's older Lexus RX, and that one is parked about a foot away from the edge with the front tires angled in. If this vehicle was moved over, there would be plenty of room to wheel a double stroller through for our kiddos, but even as such, with the power folding door mirrors, I can walk between the cars no problem. The nose of the CS is parked right there before the gutter at the front of my driveway, and that leaves ample room at the back of the vehicle to walk in front of the hedge to my front door. When first hopping inside with the key fob in my pocket, I could put my hand on any of the 4 door handles that will unlock all the doors and unfold those door mirrors. And actually, this parking job is very similar to what you might find in a parking lot. So let's see about the door opening space. That is 1 defined notch there. Can I go 2? Yes, I can without touching the RX, and that is a great access point to the cabin, but I can't just throw myself into the interior because of these high side bolsters which are fixed and that carbon hump in the middle of these bucket seats. So I do need to carefully lower myself down over and around those obstacles, but the car isn't too low. Closing up that door. Hello cabin crew, thanks for joining for this day in the life in the M3 CS. Now in this video, I've got one objective: to find out if this car is too hardcore for daily life. All right, let's fire it up. But before I do, let me note that I do have the exhaust baffles closed because it's a very different startup experience with them open versus closed. So first, closed. Okay, there's that inline 6 come to life. Let's go hear the idle from outside. It's a deep rumble, but it's not going to upset anyone around you. Now let me do that again with the exhaust baffles open. Oof. Yeah, that's deep. That tone is going to cause a commotion, at least initially, till it idles down, settles itself down, but you may startle your immediate vicinity neighbors and maybe some parents. Hey crew, I've got the key to this 25 Cadillac CT5-V Blackwing, and man does it feel good to have one of these back in my driveway, even if I don't own it this time. Anyway, let's check out the spacing in my driveway, which is 16 feet wide by 19.5 feet long. I've got the Blackwing parked at least 2 or 3 inches hanging off the edge of the driveway, sitting next to a new Mercedes-Benz G580 EQ that my wife is reviewing this time. If you want to check out her content, it's at Mobile Mama on TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube. That one is parked right there at the edge. And let's just pretend the Blackwing is over a few more inches. There is still a runway's width of space to walk between the cars, and the door mirrors of the Blackwing do power fold in for a little extra room. The nose of the car with the carbon fiber 1 package is hovering over the gutter at the beginning of my driveway, and at the back, there is still plenty of space to walk in front of the hedge on the path to my front door. When first hopping in with the key fob on me, I can put my hand on either of the front 2 door handles that will unlock the doors, and I will wait until I'm parked next to someone in a lot, because this is obviously so much room I can fully swing out the door and make my way inside. I am going to empty out my pockets before I do so, because I need to contort a little bit over the high side bolsters and the low door sill to get in. But you know what? I did this a lot, so kind of know how to move my body around to get in Closing up that door. Hello, cabin crew. Thanks for joining for this day in the life in the 25 Cadillac CT5-V Blackwing with the manual and the precision package. Now, if you know this channel, you know I owned one of these for over a year and a half, so I'm very familiar with what it's like to live with the car, but I want to see if the changes they've made for 25 make it even better. Let's start by firing it up. Oh, I have missed that cold start. The V8 triggering on, the rumble side to side. We need to listen to the idle from outside the car. This is for you more than for me, because I know what this sounds like. And that delicious, throaty V8 tone. Now, granted, it is kind of a lot, so if your neighbors are a bit irritated when you early in the morning fire this up or late at night return home, just, keep that in mind. I've got the key to that Alfa Romeo Giulia Quadrifoglio, and today we're going to see what it's like to live with, beginning with remote start. After that brief burst of excitement on startup, the Giulia Quad has settled down to a very mellow idle here. And I want to check out the spacing in my driveway. You can see I didn't really try all that hard with the parking job. It's sitting about a foot in from the edge, parked next to a small SUV, Kia Sportage, that my wife is reviewing. That's parked a few inches in from the edge. And even with that lackluster park job, there's still plenty of room to walk between the vehicles, or in the case of my family, wheel a stroller. And in terms of length, we've got a lot of space between the back of the car and the garage doors, or even to walk between this hedge and the car. And up front, that doesn't mean the nose is hanging off. It's still back from even the gutter at the front of my driveway. Let me throw in my belt here, but before we get rolling, let me show you where I would stick the items I bring with me every day. Key fob, that could of course go in your pocket, or it can go in this defined slot next to the wireless charging pad that does hold my smartphone nicely. In the CS, you don't have a formal console. Instead, you get this carbon fiber center area with a cutout for you to stick certain items. There isn't sunglass storage in this cabin, so I just put these in here, though I'm a little nervous about those scratching the carbon fiber or the carbon fiber scratching the lens. It's not a great solution. My wallet does also go in the opening, and then in the door pocket, I didn't have room for my 32-ounce water bottle, so instead, I had to take with me a single-use bottle, not my favorite. In the glove box, that was the only space where I could find room for my GoPro accessories, but even that was only after I removed the leather manual holder. So it's like, either have manual in there and nothing else, or take it out, stick it in the door pocket, and then you have space for something. So yes, unfortunately, the cabin storage inside the CS is not the best. Two things before we roll out of here. The first will be pretty quick. I want to show you where I would stick the items I bring with me every day, like my iPhone 15 Pro, which fits easily on this large wireless charging pad. I've got the key fob in this dedicated slot right here. Inside the console, there really isn't much room, so just have my wallet and my sunglasses, because there isn't dedicated storage for these up above. I'm not worried about scratching up the lenses though, because the entire console is felt lined. Now things start going downhill, because large item storage is really poor inside the Blackwing. My 32-ounce water bottle doesn't fit inside the door cubby or inside the cup holder, so it has to go inside the glove box. Thankfully it does fit in there, but there isn't additional room for my GoPro accessory case, so that's just sitting on the passenger side footwell. I'll begin by finding places for the items I've brought with me, my large water bottle and my GoPro accessories. Are these gonna go in the console? Not if I want that to close. Door pocket? Maybe. Okay, can I just door test it to see if it'll stay? It's gonna eject it. All right, and here in front of the cup holders, I guess it could just sit there if I didn't have anything in the cup holder. So let's try this in combination with the large water bottle. That won't even fit in the cup holder, so I guess that's not a conflict. This is not gonna go in the console either. I guess this will just sit there, and this will sit in the passenger seat until it flies forward. What else do I have with me? I've got sunglasses, I've got the key fob. This has a defined slot for it to go, that's nice. Sunglasses, well, nothing in the console, might as well throw those in there. And my wallet, that can also go in the console. And then my smartphone can go in the wireless charging slot. That's actually a handy home for it. Yeah, so it seems like they thought of small item storage just fine, but not big ones for us Americans. Let's get our day going. I'm gonna release the parking brake, pull the gear selector over into drive, and then roll forward over the curb ramp on the left tire, dip the right, and clear the trash cans on trash day. Throw my seatbelt now. Ooh, welcoming chimes. Put it into first, release the parking brake, roll on forward. And it is trash day, and my neighbor does have his cans out quite far. The question is whether I'm going to clear them. And the answer is yes. Seatbelt is going on as well. Pulling it down into drive, releasing that parking brake, and pulling out of my driveway. Curb ramp helping with the clearance, but I think the Giulia Quad would be fine. While en route to my coffee shop du jour, I want to take stock of some around town details. Things like the turn signal sound, which at first isn't an unpleasant tone, but after a while sitting at a light, it does become an irritant. Not that many BMW drivers would know, but just pointing that out. Now, turning radius test, wheel cranked. Oh, okay. That pushed me out further than I would expect for this size of wheelbase. So if you find yourself on a residential street like this one, you might be making a multi-point turn. At least if you don't want to damage that very expensive front end. And if someone were to cut me off in the M3 CS and I had to go to the horn, the sound would be powerful, upset, and yet dignified. Whether running errands or commuting in the CS, you're gonna hope that the ride quality is tolerable. And even here on this construction road surface, the CS does bob and weave over the changes in road surface, and you feel the vibrations in through the cabin of the stiffness of the chassis, but the pulses of the imperfections in through the seat are not harsh, surprisingly so, given the way the car looks and the performance capabilities. And that's actually helped by the fact that though these seats look very aggressive, they are in fact pretty darn comfortable when you're actually inside them, because the shape is ergonomic to a certain degree, the padding is solid, and the adjustability is extensive. Even these side bolsters, which look fixed, actually come in and out. So for most body types, if you're especially wide, whether via muscle or otherwise, you may not fit in them, but for other folks, you will fit, and the height adjustment is terrific. So even if you're on the taller side, here I am at 6 feet, I've got inches above my head of clearance, and the tilt and telescope of the wheel is terrific. Great driving posture for me. Oh, and the steering wheel, thickly wrapped and wrapped in suede, is really nice to squish your fingers into. Is that weird? I don't care, it feels great. It is worth mentioning that I have all the drive settings at their lowest level of intensity, and that's important if you want the most modest start to your day. And I can't really think of a situation outside of corner carving or hitting the track where I'd want to firm up the suspension, but if the relaxed throttle response of efficient mode wasn't cutting it, going into sport does perk things up without turning this car into a jerky movement every time I go to the throttle. And even though we've got carbon ceramic brakes equipped here, they don't squeal under braking, and you can ease your way up to the stop, except for that last part. It is gonna grab up on you, and there's not a whole lot you can do about that. It's tolerable though, and I do like that all these settings, including the start-stop system, which is a physical button, will stay that way even after you shut the vehicle off and turn it back on. For so many cars, it just forgets everything when you start it anew. Now, I did neglect to mention something during the cold start, and that is that for neighborly relations, if you want your Blackwing to be as mellow as possible, in the My mode, you can configure the engine sound in stealth. And if you're driving the car in stealth and then you turn it off in My mode with stealth equipped, then it's gonna start up that same way, which is much more chill. So everyone is happy, including the little babies. Unless the babies are like you and they like V8. In that case, there's V mode, which is a very different kind of relationship. I had to stop for a minute because when I realized this feature had changed for 25, I was overjoyed. So my 23 had a massage, but it was just a lumbar massage, and it was super weak. I compared it to an old man just pushing weakly against your lower back, and it timed out after like 3 minutes. But Cadillac listened to the complaints of its customers, and for $25, they have upgraded the massage, and it's still just the back cushion, and you can adjust the type of massage. So you can't actually touch the screen for this, which is a little bizarre. You can just rotate it to change, but then you've got roll, you've got just a regular lumbar massage, you've got different intensity levels. This is a small but important improvement to daily life with the CT5 Blackwing. Moving on to the seats themselves, which are the same optional semi-aniline leather sport seats with the carbon-backed shells. They're multi-way adjusting, they're heated and ventilated. They've got these thigh bolster supports that extend so the underside of your legs are supported. The side bolsters here can adjust, and the bottom bolsters too. And so I've got a great driving position for myself at 6 feet tall with headroom above. The only thing is, like in my car, I wanted the seat to lower just a little bit more so I felt more immersed with the drive. I'm sitting just a touch high, but that's coming from a guy with a long torso, so take that for what it's worth. It also helps that the power adjusting steering rack will bring the wheel out to a comfortable position for my hands to rest and still allow me great visibility to the giant screen. It is now uniform, whereas in my car it was separated as gauge cluster and infotainment. It is now just 33 inches of one housing, and you know what? It is easier to use, I'll say that. The responsiveness of this Android operating system is excellent, and reconfiguring the gauge cluster or the infotainment is a breeze. I do think that the previous iteration was more driver focused. I felt like it was more about me, and then passengers be darned, they had their little infotainment screen. This is just for everyone now, and I can get over that because it is just, again, so user-friendly. You can switch through the different modes easily here on the left screen, and then on the right screen, you just work all the infotainment stuff. But far and away, the thing I loved the most about my car as a daily driver was the ride compliance. The magnetic ride control just filtered out all of the chatter of the road so that you as the passenger had that classic Cadillac comfort. And that's still the case here for 25 for the most part, because there is this optional precision package. It is optional and it's equipped to this car, and that is focused on track performance. So everything has just been tightened and stiffened up, and there's more wheel camber. It's got its purpose in mind, and what that brings with it as a daily driver is just a little extra firmness to your commute or your errand running. It's still very docile as a high performance sedan goes, but it just has that little extra edge, that little extra discomfort relative to the non-precision pack. One thing this car in particular has going for it for ride compliance, for ride comfort, is the fact that it's on the Michelin Pilot Sport 4S tires. You can get Cup 2s as a no-cost option with the Precision Pack, which is a much firmer compound, again, for track duty. But if you get the PS4S tires, they have a little more give to them, and therefore more comfort. Another thing that is the same and just as great as it was when I owned this car is the Tremec 6-speed manual. Yes, you can get the 10-speed automatic, and yes, I suppose in theory it's slightly more livable, but this is such a good transmission. It's so easy to use, in addition to how much feel it has, how solid of an enthusiast gearbox it is, that I just don't understand why you would do that unless you just didn't know or didn't want to drive a manual. The leather-wrapped shifter shape is perfect for my hands. The engagement and release point of the clutch is so easy to perceive. And then the throws themselves are truncated and direct. You feel that notch into each gear. There's no mystery whatsoever. And there is, in addition to those features, a rev match function that you can turn on at the press of a button, and that is going to blip the throttle so you don't have to heel toe around town, which is really rather convenient. I just wish that feature was programmable in your My Mode function. You have to hit the rev match button independently. And on the topic of ease of driving, the power delivery from this supercharged V8 with its 668 horsepower and 659 pound-feet of torque is very mellow. If you are in the right mode, the throttle response isn't overeager and you can just pour it on, and the supercharger gives you that linear power curve, and so you just get up to speed responsibly when you want to be responsible. As for other daily driving considerations, turn signal sound is like all other GM vehicles. Sounds like a horse getting up to gallop. And now for the turning radius, I know this is gonna go. Wheel is fully turned. Oh, we're just gonna barely make a double wide, very wide lane U-turn. That has not improved. I mean, seriously, it's one of the Achilles heels of the Blackwing, and there are very few of them, but the maneuverability at low speeds is just awful in this car. In a context like this, it's a little embarrassing, but let's see if they have fixed something that was a problem, at least in my Blackwing. Sensitivity of the horn. In my car, if I just brushed my hand on the surface of the airbag, it would set off the horn. That's not happening, so I'd say maybe mine was just a defect. But let's listen to the sound of the horn. Someone is driving erratically on the roads and you need to alert them to their behavior. You use the horn, and here, just a normal horn sound. Should work. Here around town, how's that turn signal sound? Not too irritating. And coming down from speed, the brakes take a little bit to finesse appropriately. Turning radius, that's quite good. And here in the natural drive mode, the normal drive mode, it's interesting. I can feel those gear changes from the 8-speed auto a little more perceptibly than most torque converter automatics. But in terms of power delivery, it's very smooth getting up to speed. No delay from the twin turbos. Yeah, even like slowing down, I'm not sure if it's brake pedal feel or it feels more like transmission. There's kind of defined lurches forward, which is bizarre for a torque converter. That's normal for a dual clutch, not normal for a torque converter. In terms of ride smoothness, this adaptive suspension is doing a pretty good job here. Filtering out the road blemishes, but here we got some grates. I felt more of those, not super harsh though. I heard them more than anything else. These seats have a lot of adjustability. You can get them nice and low, comfortable. The bolstering on the side might be too much for some body types. For me, it's great. Yeah, okay, it's pretty good to coast in. Easy to direct down the road. Steering feel, even at these low speeds, is excellent. Can point it exactly where I want it to. Yeah, it's that first touch of the brake pedal. They're a little grabby there. And now when you come to a full stop, the start-stop system is going to turn the vehicle off. And then when the light goes green, especially if you're quick to the throttle, it really does lurch you forward as it re-engages first gear. I may want to just turn start-stop off. Thankfully, that is a physical button here, so it's not something I have to hunt around in the menu for. Yeah, the brake, oh, okay, so again, the inconvenience of not having a spot for my water bottle. It's just gonna stay on the floor now. From a commuter's perspective, what's the M3 CS like to drive on the highway? First, I'll demonstrate passing power. I could either go into Sport Plus, or with my M1 settings, get those queued up, put my foot to the floor, and make a quick move to the left lane. Once again, you've got a gap, you put your foot down, okay. And there is no shortage of mid-range power. And when you're done having fun or changing lanes responsibly, then you can take it out of M mode, go back to the efficient engine response, and I'm going to quiet up for a minute and listen to the cabin volume at highway speeds. Well, I'm pleased with how little of the tire noise I'm getting inside the cabin, but passing that truck, I heard all of it. And there is wind noise that's coming in. I hear it generated around here. Either way, you could live with this. You could have a conversation with a fellow passenger, easy enough. You may have to raise your voice a little bit more to talk to the folks in the back. And for your commute, you don't have any driving assistance features to reduce fatigue. You just have regular old cruise control. It's not adaptive. And you just have a lane departure warning system, not a lane keep assist, no steering assistance. So that means you're paying full attention at all times. And if you've got a traffic heavy, longer commute, you may be missing those features. Can the sound system at least distract you from all the work you're having to do during your commute? Well, let's find out. I'm gonna have the wireless Apple CarPlay queued up here on this big screen. It's very easy to use, super responsive, high res. I just wish there were some physical redundancies for things like climate controls. Thankfully, that does stay at the bottom of the screen at all times and can be pulled up, but still requires you to look away from the road to use that, whereas a physical dial or something or button could just be accessed while keeping your eyes glued to the road. I digress. Back to CarPlay for our sound system test. There is at least a physical volume knob. And that looks to be about 60%, maybe 65 for the volume output. Let's go up to 70, maybe 75. A solid sound system. It blocked out a lot of the outside road noise. The quality was there. I felt enveloped by the sound, and the punch of the bass was significant. On my way to some good driving roads, I will be on the highway for a while, which will give me a chance to see about things like passing power. In preparation for that, I'm just going to hit the V mode button, which sort of heightens all the senses of the Blackwing. Then I'll downshift to fourth and dig into the power. Oh my gosh. The mid-range is just insane in this vehicle. I'm gonna go one gear down. And hear more from the Supercharged V8. Who doesn't love that? It is easy to make your way through traffic, get to the lane of your choosing, and then calm down. Go into sixth gear. I'm gonna take it out of V mode and listen to the cabin volume at highway speeds. I'm getting a little vibration from the dashboard area. Now, this isn't perfectly smooth tarmac, but I didn't get vibration really on any surface in my car. So I'm wondering if the precision package and all the tightening that they did to this platform isn't creating that vibration. Because otherwise, I mean, tire noise isn't bad, wind noise is effectively non-existent, and the outside traffic doesn't generate a whole lot of noise inside this cabin either. That was one thing I really valued about my car. You could commute quietly, comfortably, in a zen state. Now, one thing you do have to give up with the manual in terms of commuting is all the sophisticated driving assistance features that you can equip. GM's Super Cruise system, it's hands-free highway driving. That means no need to go to the throttle or brake to maintain a gap. No need to even have your hands on the wheel for staying in the center of the lane. It'll even change lanes for you. But with the manual, you just get regular old cruise control. Not adaptive, no steering assistance. There's just a lane departure warning system. I almost hit the steering wheel heating button when I turned that on, by the way. A feature I forgot to mention, but as you know, is critically important to me, so I'm gonna turn that on right now. While I'm warming my hands and having to speed up and slow down here manually, I wanted to listen to the AKG 15 speaker sound system. I will do that via the wireless Apple CarPlay, and this system is very responsive now, way quicker than in my car, so I can get everything I want queued up. They got rid of the physical volume knob though, that's kind of annoying, so I have to use these volume buttons on the steering wheel. Let's see, looks to be About 50% right there. Speed up again. A little higher, maybe 55, 60. That's pretty good. I didn't really hear any distortion as I dialed up the volume there at the end. Notes were clear, good range. Not a whole lot of punch from the bass though, and actually before this, I went in and dialed up the bass just to see if I could get more out of it. Unfortunately, you cannot. So if you want that resonant bass, not the sound system for you, but as a standard unit in this car, Charlie and I don't really have a commute in what we do. So this is as close to a simulated commute as we're gonna get on our way to go pick up my long-awaited Dodge Demon 170. At these speeds, certainly, this is very quiet and comfortable. How do you feel about the seats?
Seat seems good upon initial impression. I've got up and down over on the passenger side. I know that's important for a lot of people. Sometimes the passenger gets skimped upon, and you don't often have passenger impressions on your day in the life.
Yeah. How about the lumbar situation?
Lumbar, first of all, not many good places for a cup holder. No bottle holder in the side, but I do have four-way lumbar over here. So
sweet.
Good.
You get four-way? That's awesome.
Yeah, no.
Usually they skip on that. They'll give like the passenger maybe two-way, sometimes no way.
Yep. Hearing the exhaust a little bit, but it doesn't seem droney yet.
No. I mean, I'm mostly off throttle here because we're kind of on a downhill, but like even if I give it a little bit of throttle,
yeah, and
that's pretty mellow.
You're driving a sports sedan. You want to remember that you paid extra to get the badge on the side.
Yes. Do you have adaptive cruise control, which I can trigger on here? On there. Set it. And then I can set the following distance. What I don't have is anything like a steering assistance. I just have a lane departure warning system, so actually I have people on both sides of me, but once this Tesla passes, I can demo that. Yeah, there we go. Oh, it did correct me. So it's not like a hands-free centering, but it will bring you back into the lane if you depart. It's nice to have those things. Oh yeah, what about the sun visors? Oh.
Not full extension. I mean, it gives you a little extra something, but...
That's kind of inexcusable. Listening for the NVH level at a higher rate of speed. Just heard that was a louder road surface back there very briefly, but on this quieter tarmac, I'm still hearing tire noise, but the dual pane glass is definitely cutting down on wind noise. I'd say it's pretty quiet for the $80-ish thousand price point.
Yeah, I'd say it's appropriate.
Yeah.
It's not egregious. I would say a German car might be a little bit quieter at these speeds.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, this is a visceral sedan. It's something that they kind of expect the driver to always be aware that they're driving the car.
Yes, and I am always aware that I'm driving the 505 horsepower Alfa Romeo Giulia Quad because at any point in time I have the passing power. And the overrun. My goodness, the fart can from the back of that was the nicest flatulence I've ever heard in my life. And gosh, this thing rips. Yeah, I wouldn't worry about any gap that you spot when you're driving. You're like, oh, I think I can make it there. This is not quite at the level of like a Model 3 performance in terms of instantaneousness, but I mean, you get there. You get there in a hurry. And I can see out of it very easily as well. Like forward visibility is excellent. The windows are nice. Of course, being a sedan, we don't have that, giant raised cowl at the back. So the blind spot of the seat pillar is small, and we've got standard blind spot monitoring. I would love commuting in this, I'll be honest. But you didn't just buy the hardcore M car to make runs to Costco. You bought it to thrill you at the right opportunity. So here we go. Real world 0 to 60 test. I've got my race box set up here to record. To do launch control, I need to be in Shift Logic 3 and have traction control switched all the way off. I've got all that programmed into my M2 mode. So with that dialed, foot on the brake, pin the throttle, build up the revs, preparing launch. It's ready. Let's go. There's 60 in 2.93 seconds. Car fast, me likey, go quick. Finally, it's time for some fun. Let's start with a real world 0 to 60 test. I've got my race box set up here to record. All the conditions are met for launch control. I'm in the V mode with performance traction management set to race 1. I'm now gonna clutch in, head into first gear, give it full throttle, get off the clutch, and no lift shift down to second. Get there in 4.32 seconds. That is a rear wheel driven delight. But you probably noticed from that run that the indicated red line was 4,500 RPM, and that's because Cadillac dropped off this car with like 350 miles. You have to wait until 500 miles for it to raise the red line to 6,500. So very likely I was shifting early, and that's probably why in my car I got 3.9 seconds to sync. In the course of living with this vehicle, you might get a chance to do a 0 to 60 run, and lo and behold, that day is today for me, and I've got my race box set up here conveniently to record. I'm gonna go into the race drive mode, holding that dial, and there is no launch control in this vehicle, so I'm just going to brake boost it a bit off the line, hopefully not breaking too much traction. And here we go. Some tire spin. There's 60 in 4.2 seconds. Plenty quick. There aren't many cars that are gonna thrill you like this at a stoplight, but does the CS have what it takes to keep the fun going on the weekends? The twin turbo inline 6 is raring to go. And the all-wheel drive system and limited slip differential combo effectively gets that 543 horsepower to the ground, while the carbon ceramics put the stop before you get to the next curve. The stiffened platform is so stable through the corners, and the steering is terrific. It's not overly sensitive to inputs, but it isn't a slow rack. And the car responds immediately. Gives you the right amount of resistance to communicate grip and yaw. And these seats are earning their stripes now, holding me in place through the heavy G's I'm carrying. There aren't many cars that would keep up with this one on this road. So to answer the question, yes, the M3 CS has what it takes to keep the fun going on the weekends, and in fact is so good that if you buy this car, you should go on Google Maps and spend a few minutes plotting out a longer, curvier way home from work. No excuses, the car is a handful of miles away from break-in. It's gonna be fine. I just have to mentally recalibrate to shift at 6,500 RPM, not the indicated 4,500. I can get over that mental block. For this, 100%. Oh, the bite from the carbon ceramics is excellent. And I can already feel the difference with the precision pack. There's all this great road feel. My car had a little of this, but not to this level. It's more precise as well. And coming out of a corner, it feels more stable with the changes they made to the limited slip differential and the additional camber angle. It's prepped for this, or for even more aggressive driving on a track. It is just inhaling this road. And I have more confidence in it, which when you only have 2 driven wheels, that's very valuable. Oh, I missed you. I'm really honored, Cadillac, that you would have me break in another Blackwing. I really enjoyed it the first time, and I enjoy it now too. Just all the braking, all the power, all of the cornering stability. There just is no other internal combustion sedan that handles like this. Especially now with this new precision pack. Oh, it's that mid-corner feel. Did not get it to the same degree pre-precision. If you're just gonna drive your Blackwing around town, one, you're missing out, but two, don't get this package. But if you're gonna take it to roads like this often enough, or the track, do not miss out, because this has actually transformed the driving experience. With small tweaks combined, it has really upgraded the level, which was already so high and is now just untouched by the competition. Do I need this car again? I mean, come on. No, that's unreasonable. I might. I really might. There goes the phone. That's just something I'll have to discuss with Mobile Mama right after I'm done loving every shift. She can wait a little while, right? When has that ever worked out? I don't know. Oh, and it gets better. Because finding the space and time to do 0 to 60 runs is gonna be difficult. But coming up with an excuse to take the Giulia Quad out on the weekends for some fun, oh, it's much more justifiable. Because this thing is a blast. The steering is so quick and accurate, and the chassis just responds instantly. Those brakes that were a bit grabby around town are now providing this incredible bite to slow the vehicle before corners. And that twin-turbo V6 is just raring to go, pulling you out of the curves. Manual mode is an even greater thrill because these giant aluminum paddles are so fun to actuate and prompt insanely quick gear changes. For a torque converter, I mean, the whole car is so much more fun now. It's easy to justify the stuff that's a bit irksome around town when this is the level of performance you get on the weekends. Or even, I mean, it might be worth it, taking that long way home from work. In terms of quickness, the all-wheel drive M3 CS stole the show with a ridiculous 2.9 second run to the Giulia Quad's 4.2 seconds and the Blackwing's 4.3, which is really more like 3.9 seconds when it's fully broken in. Interior storage was less of a good versus bad and more of a bad versus worst. The M3 CS was last, though, with its lack of center console storage. The Giulia Quad was second worst with its lack of any large item storage, and that just leaves the Blackwing, which was the best of the worst use of space. Technology certainly does not favor the Giulia. That cabin felt dated and partly unintuitive. The Blackwing with the refresh adds some really cool visuals while retaining important physical controls. The M3 CS is the most minimalist, but usability remains solid. This category is a bit of a toss-up between the Bimmer and the Caddy. Around town, the M3 CS's aggressive seats, which I also have in my M2 CS, and the Giulia Quad's grabby brakes hold them back, while the manually optioned Blackwing features brilliant magnetic ride control and intuitive shifting along with smooth V8 power to relax even errand runs. As a commuter, if it was the automatic equipped Blackwing, it would probably get the victory with its Super Cruise hands-free highway driving and quiet cabin. But among the cars I actually drove, it's the Giulia Quad with its adaptive cruise control, reasonable NVH level, and solid passing power that does get the victory. But when the road gets twisty, even the very engaging Giulia Quad is simply outclassed by the M3 CS and the Blackwing. Now, if you didn't choose the Precision package, then the CS might get the win, But if you did add on the expensive and track-focused option, then the CT5 Blackwing closes the gap and counters the CS's all-wheel drive power delivery with raw driving pleasure. My mind says CS, but my heart screams Blackwing. I think this is a tie. Styling is, as always, the most subjective category, and each car approaches design very differently. Still, even if Cadillac did slightly mar the Blackwing's face with the refresh, it's still the slickest mix of upscale and imposing. If it was pure aggression, M3 CS. If it was trying to be the most covert, Giulia Quad. The Giulia has been short on wins so far, but at $82,000 to start, it's kind of a bargain compared to the $120,000 M3 CS and $100,000 to start, $134,000 as tested CT5 Blackwing. And yet, personally, I would never spend $80,000 on a good car when I know greatness is within arm's reach. And even a base manual CT5 Blackwing is a brilliant car. And with the right options, it gets even better. And because living with a car is more than just canyon runs and track time, I would have the Blackwing over the very excellent M3 CS. Which would you guys choose though? I hope you guys have enjoyed this comparison compilation, and let me know which vehicles you want to see matched up next.